Once upon a time, in a picturesque village nestled gently in the heart of a quiet countryside, there lived a curious young girl named Emily. Her days were filled with the scent of blooming flowers, the warm touch of sunshine, and the soft sounds of leaves dancing in the wind. The village was peaceful, but what truly made it special was the vibrant spirit of its people, and the stories that seemed to float through its pathways like invisible threads of magic. Emily was unlike other children in the village. While her friends enjoyed running across the fields or climbing the old fig trees, Emily found herself drawn to things that sparked her imagination. She loved mysteries, discoveries, and anything that felt new. But above all, she had a deep fascination for learning new things, especially the English language. She didn't quite know why English fascinated her so much, but something inside her felt alive every time she heard even a single English word spoken by travelers passing through. Emily's daily life, her everyday routine, was simple. She woke up early to help her mother in the small kitchen, where the scent of freshly baked bread always filled the air. After breakfast, she would join her father in the yard to help with small chores. Sometimes she collected eggs from the chicken coop. Sometimes she filled water from the old stone well. And sometimes she simply wandered around the fields, watching birds glide across the sky. But no matter how busy her mornings were, Emily always saved her afternoons for something she loved: reading stories or trying to learn new English words. The village school taught very basic English, but Emily knew she wanted to learn more. She often dreamed of speaking it fluently, understanding books written in English, and one day talking confidently with visitors or travelers. Her dreams were simple, yet big enough to light a spark in her heart. The discovery of the dusty book of everything changed. One sunny afternoon, Emily was returning home from the market with a basket full of vegetables. She walked along a quiet stone path lined with shady trees, when something on the ground caught her eye. It was a book, old, dusty, and half buried under dry leaves. Intrigued, she bent down, picked it up, and gently brushed the dust from its cover. The pages were yellow and delicate, the edges were worn, but once she opened it, her eyes widened with surprise. The entire book was filled with English stories. Page after page, chapter after chapter, fairy tales, adventure tales, magical tales, stories of brave heroes, kind queens, curious children, enchanted forests, and faraway kingdoms. Emily felt a flutter in her heart. A whole book of English stories, just waiting for me. It felt like a gift. She held the book tightly and hurried home, eager to explore this unexpected treasure. Every day, after she finished her chores, Emily rushed to her room with the dusty old book. She would open her small wooden window, letting in warm sunlight and a gentle breeze. Then she would sit quietly on her little stool and dive into the magical world of English stories. She started with simple tales, easy sentences about friendly animals, the weather, children playing, or beautiful forests. As the days passed, she slowly moved on to more complex stories involving brave heroes fighting evil forces, mysterious caves filled with secrets, or sisters traveling across mountains to find answers to ancient riddles. Whenever she didn't understand a word, she would walk to her mother and ask, "Mother, what does this word mean?" Sometimes her mother knew, sometimes she didn't, and on those days, Emily picked up her tiny English dictionary and searched for the meaning patiently. Her father, too, encouraged her. He often said, "Emily, learning something new is never a waste. Keep going." His words made her smile. She felt supported, loved, motivated. One evening, Emily sat by her window reading a story about a courageous princess who saved her kingdom from a wicked sorcerer. The princess rode through storms, crossed rivers, and fought creatures made of shadows. Emily was captivated by every word. Suddenly she stopped. She saw a word she didn't know: fearless. Emily whispered it slowly. Fear less. She repeated it again. She felt the strength inside the word. She rushed to her dictionary and looked it up. Fearless, brave and unafraid. Her heart filled with excitement. She carefully wrote the word in her notebook, underlining it 3 times. She practiced saying it repeatedly until it felt natural on her tongue. That night, as she lay in bed, Emily whispered softly, "I want to be fearless too." Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Emily read every story in the dusty book, some even twice or 3 times. Her vocabulary expanded. Her pronunciation improved. She grew confident, not only in reading, but also in understanding and forming her own sentences. When travelers passed through the village and spent evenings near the marketplace, Emily sometimes stood close enough to hear them speak. She noticed. She could now understand bits and pieces of their conversations. Words that once felt strange now felt familiar. Phrases that once confused her now made sense. She began practicing small sentences like, "Hello. How are you? My name is Emily. I like reading English stories. Where are you from?" Her parents watched proudly, realizing their daughter was slowly transforming into someone bold, confident, and eager to grow. One bright afternoon, the village was buzzing with excitement. A festival was being prepared, the biggest one of the year. People decorated the streets with colorful ribbons. Musicians tuned their instruments. Food stalls popped up everywhere offering warm bread, grilled corn, sweet cakes, and fruit juice. Emily loved festivals. They filled her heart with joy. But one thing made this festival even more special. Visitors. Lots of them. Travelers from different places came to join the celebration. Among them, Emily noticed a group of English-speaking tourists. Her heart began to beat faster. Could she talk to them? Was she ready? Would they understand her? Would she understand them? She remembered the word she had learned, fearless. She whispered to herself, "I can try." With trembling hands but a brave heart, Emily walked toward them. Emily's first English conversation, "Hello," she said softly. The tourists turned and smiled warmly. "Hello," one of them replied. Emily took a deep breath. "My name is Emily. I am from this village," she said in careful English. Their faces lit up. "That's wonderful. Your English is very good," one of them told her. Emily's cheeks turned pink with happiness. She continued speaking slowly, sometimes pausing, sometimes searching for words, but she communicated, and they understood her. The tourists asked her questions about the village, and Emily answered with excitement. She felt proud. She felt alive. She felt fearless. When the conversation ended, one of the tourists said, "Emily, you are very talented. Would you like to see other towns with us? You could learn even more English on the way." Emily couldn't believe her ears. The idea of traveling, exploring new places, and learning English from real speakers felt like a dream, too beautiful to be real. But it was real. She looked at her parents. They smiled and said, "Go, Emily. Follow your dreams." With a small bag of clothes, her notebook full of English words, and the precious dusty old book tightly held in her hands, Emily left her village. She waved goodbye to her friends, neighbors, the old fig tree, the stone pathways, and everything she had known since she was a little girl. As she walked away with the tourists, she felt both excited and emotional. She didn't know what awaited her. She didn't know where she would go or what she would see. But she knew one thing: she was ready. Fearless. Curious. Hungry for knowledge. Emily traveled from one town to another. She saw cities with tall buildings, places surrounded by mountains, villages near rivers, towns filled with markets, schools, libraries, musicians, dancers, storytellers, and more. Every person she met taught her something new. Every place she visited widened her world. She made friends from different cultures, some from deserts, some from snowy places, some from islands far beyond the horizon. She spoke English with them every day, improving her skills until she could speak smoothly, understand jokes, express her feelings, and even tell her favorite stories from the dusty book. And through it all, she remained the same curious girl who once found a magical book lying in the dust. Years passed. Emily grew older, wiser, more confident. She traveled so many places that she lost count. She learned so much that she filled her notebook with hundreds of new words. She read thousands of pages of English books. She shared stories with children from faraway lands. She helped travelers understand her village culture when she returned home for visits. One evening, while sitting under the same old tree where she once played as a child, Emily held the dusty book and whispered, "You changed my life." She realized her journey began the moment she opened that book, the moment she chose to learn, the moment she chose to be fearless, and from that moment on, her world expanded endlessly. Emily's journey with the tourists turned into something much bigger than she ever imagined. What started as a short trip to nearby towns slowly grew into a long adventure across many regions. Everywhere she went, she found new experiences, new stories, and new opportunities to practice English. Some days, Emily woke up in small wooden inns surrounded by forests. Other days, she stayed in lively towns filled with music, laughter, and colorful marketplaces. She loved observing people, their way of talking, their culture, their habits, their smiles. Everything fascinated her. Whenever she heard English being spoken around her, she listened with full attention. Sometimes she didn't understand every word, but she never felt embarrassed. Instead, she felt excited, because every unknown word was a new chance to learn. Just like the word fearless had once inspired her, meeting new friends during her travels, Emily became close to a young woman named Clara. Clara was one of the tourists, and she admired Emily's determination. Clara had short curly hair, sparkling brown eyes, and a kind voice that always encouraged Emily. "Emily, you learn fast," Clara often told her. "You should be proud of yourself." Emily smiled shyly whenever she heard this. Compliments still made her blush, but they also pushed her to grow more. Clara taught Emily many things: how to pronounce difficult English words, how to form longer sentences, how to write short paragraphs, how to read faster without losing meaning. Sometimes, Clara even challenged her. "Emily, today you will speak only English. No other language." Emily accepted every challenge. She made mistakes, but Clara never laughed. She corrected gently, explained slowly, and celebrated Emily's progress like a teacher who truly believed in her student. The town of Silverbridge. One day, the group reached a beautiful town called Silverbridge. It was named after the large silver-colored bridge that stretched across a flowing blue river. The town was famous for its schools, libraries, and language centers. People from many places came to study here. Emily felt as if she had entered a world made just for her. For the first time, she saw a large library filled with tall shelves reaching almost to the ceiling. Her eyes widened in wonder. She ran her fingers across the spines of books, whispering titles softly. Clara watched her with a smile. "You like it here, don't you?" Emily nodded eagerly. "I love it." She discovered books about history, culture, oceans, desserts, science, animals, and more stories than she could ever finish reading. She felt like she had stepped into a treasure chest full of knowledge. A kind librarian. While exploring the library, Emily met a librarian named Mr. Rowan. He was an older man with silver hair and round glasses. He noticed Emily struggling slightly while reading an English poem. "You're learning English?" he asked kindly. Emily nodded. "Yes, sir. I am trying my best." Mr. Rowan smiled warmly. "You're doing better than you think. What you need is practice, patience, and passion. And I can see all three in you." He guided her to a section that held English learning books, children's stories, simple novels, and practice worksheets. "Start here," he said. "These books will strengthen your base. Once you've finished them, the rest will feel much easier." Emily felt grateful. She borrowed a few books and promised to return them within a week. And she did. Not only did she read every page, she even wrote notes, practiced vocabulary, and tried rewriting small paragraphs in her own words. Mr. Rowan was impressed. "You have a bright future, Emily," he said. "Never stop learning." These words stayed in Emily's heart for a long time. Emily's confidence grew. The more Emily traveled, the more confident she became. She no longer hesitated to speak English. She no longer feared mispronouncing words. She realized that making mistakes was part of the learning journey. One evening, while sitting around a campfire with the tourists, Clara suggested something. "Emily, why don't you tell us a story from your book?" In English, Emily froze for a moment. A story, in front of everyone. In English, her heart pounded. Clara placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You can do this. I believe in you." Emily looked at the quiet campfire, glowing softly under the starry sky. She took a deep breath, and then she began. She rattled one of her favorite stories from the dusty book. Her voice trembled at first, but as she continued, her confidence slowly returned. Words flowed, sentences connected. Her expressions grew more natural. When she finished, the group clapped cheerfully. Clara hugged her. "See, I knew you could do it." Emily felt proud of herself. For the first time, she felt like her dream was becoming real. Months had passed since Emily left her village. One afternoon, while staying in a cozy inn near a mountain town, a messenger arrived carrying a letter for her. It was from her parents. Emily opened it eagerly. "My dearest Emily," the letter began, "we miss you every single day, but we are so proud of the brave young girl you have become. Your journey inspires us. The villagers talk about you often. Everyone says you will return someday with a heart full of stories and knowledge. Stay safe. Keep learning. And remember, we love you always." Tears filled Emily's eyes. She missed home deeply, but their words gave her strength. She knew they understood her dreams. She knew they supported her with all their hearts. She kept the letter safely inside her bag, next to the dusty book that started it all. The school at Willowbrook. Eventually, Emily and the tourists reached a place called Willowbrook, a town known for its beautiful language school. Students from different countries studied there. Clara suggested something new. "Emily, would you like to enroll in a short English course here?" Emily was surprised. "Me? In a real school? But will they accept me?" Clara smiled. "They would be lucky to have someone like you." Emily felt nervous, but she agreed. The school had friendly teachers and students from many places. Emily attended classes where she learned grammar, vocabulary, reading comprehension, pronunciation, and even storytelling. She also learned how to write proper paragraphs. She practiced daily. Sometimes she made mistakes, but the teachers encouraged her. "Emily, your progress is remarkable," one teacher said. "You learn with your heart. That is rare." Emily made friends with students from different backgrounds, some from forests, some from islands, some from snowy countries. They all had different accents, but English connected them. She enjoyed lunchtime conversations, group activities, reading clubs, and evening walking trips with her new friends. Every night before sleeping, Emily wrote down new words she learned. Wander, whisper, enchanted, journey, explore, determination. Opportunity. Her notebook slowly filled with hundreds of words, each one representing a step forward in her journey. A challenge that changed everything. In day, the school announced a storytelling competition. Students had to stand on stage and tell a story in English. The winner would receive a set of English novels and a chance to participate in an international storytelling event. Emily hesitated. Could she stand in front of so many people and speak? Could she express herself clearly? Could she control her nerves? She remembered the word that changed her life. Fearless. She whispered to herself, I can try. Clara encouraged her to. Emily, you were born to tell stories. And you have a story no one else has. Emily smiled. She registered her name, preparing for the competition for days. She practiced every sentence. She revised grammar, rehearsed aloud, recorded herself speaking, corrected her pronunciation, and refined the way she delivered each line. She chose to tell the story of how she found the dusty book. She told how it changed her life. She told how it ignited her passion. She told how it carried her from a small village to new lands. She told how every word she learned made her braver. Clara listened to her practice and helped refine each moment. Slow down here. Add a pause there. Smile at this line. Speak with emotion. Emily trained every day. The competition day at school hall was filled with students, teachers, and visitors. Emily's heart pounded as she waited for her name to be called. Next, we have Emily from the village of Greendale, announced the host. Clara squeezed her hand. You've got this. Emily stepped onto the stage. The lights felt bright. The hall felt large. But Emily took a deep breath and began speaking. She told her story with honesty. She described the dusty road, the old book, the joy of reading, the excitement of learning new words, the difficulty, the mistakes, the progress, the support of her family, her journey with the tourists, her dream of speaking English fluently. The audience listened quietly. When she finished, the hall erupted in applause. Emily felt tears in her eyes, not of sadness, but of overwhelming pride. Emily Winsletter. That evening, the judges announced the results. The winner of this year's storytelling competition is Emily. Emily gasped. Clara hugged her tightly as the audience cheered. The principal handed her a certificate, a set of English novels, and an invitation to represent the school in an international storytelling festival. Emily couldn't believe it. The little girl, who once sat by a window reading a dusty book, was now being recognized for her English storytelling. A new dream awakens. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. Her mind was filled with possibilities. Maybe she could become a storyteller. Maybe she could write her own books. Maybe she could teach English to children in her village. Maybe she could travel the world sharing her journey. A new dream began, forming in her heart, a dream bigger than anything she had imagined before. The Festival of Voices. A few weeks later, Emily traveled to the capital city to attend the international storytelling event. Participants from many countries gathered there. Some told stories of oceans, some of space, some of magic, some of real life struggles. Emily felt honored to be part of such a grand event. When her turn came, she stepped on stage with calm confidence. Her story touched the hearts of many listeners. Some even asked her for advice on learning English. Emily smiled and said what she truly believed. Start small, be patient, read a lot, and never stop learning. Letters that inspired. After the festival, Emily began receiving letters from students around the world. They wrote things like, Emily, your story inspired me. I want to be fearless like you. I also want to learn English now. You give me hope. Emily kept every letter safely. They reminded her of her purpose. Returning to her village after years of traveling and learning, Emily decided to return home for a long visit. She missed her family deeply. She missed the fields, the fig tree, the stone paths, and the cozy little room where she first read her book. When she arrived, the entire village welcomed her with warm smiles. Children ran up to her, eager to hear her stories. Parents proudly talked about her achievements. Her family hugged her tightly. Emily felt emotional. She was home. Teaching Emily decided to share what she had learned. She started teaching English to children in the village. She used simple stories, fun activities, songs, drawings, and games to help them learn easily. The dusty book became a symbol of her teaching. She showed it to the children and said, "This book changed my life, and your journey can begin with just one word." The children listened with shining eyes. Emily felt fulfilled. She knew she had found her purpose, a promise to her phone evening. Emily sat alone near the same old tree where she had once dreamed of learning English. The sunset painted the sky in golden colors. She held the dusty book close to her chest. She whispered softly, "I will keep learning. I will keep teaching. I will keep dreaming. And I will always stay fearless." Her journey was far from over, but she was ready. Always.